Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday Night Book Club. This is Lee, the Cold War Prepper. Do me a favor, let me know if you can hear me. I've got my mic on. Let's make sure it's working and everything. Just a mic check. How's that? Can you hear me? Let's see here. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Nope, nope, nope. Is there any voice, any message, any sound? Hello. Okay, there we go. Got an answer. All right, all right. Hey, Andy. Well, everybody, welcome Andrew Blila. We'll mention him first. He just passed his advanced ham radio test. So congratulations, Andy. That's the highest you can get in ham radio. I don't have any plans on going that far, but now he can do slow scan TV and lots of digital modes and everything else. But congratulations on that, Andy. Let's go through and see who all's here. I saw Rebecca in here, and that means that John, her husband, is probably here with us. Patty's Garden. Patty used to be a regular, and she's changed her name. Scott Hummer, welcome. Good evening. Sue Me, my favorite nurse from Canada. Huh? You remember Sue?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. And Scott Hummer, and Helen says, yes, she remembers Sue. And Pete, Triple G Farms, good evening. Welcome. Always good to see you, my friend. We're going to Llano next month to Cooper's. So I hope you're jealous of that. Let me see. Little Lone Prepper, Scott Hummer, I think I said. And Diana, too, good evening. Welcome. Mother Earth Garden Club, good evening. Cats and Prepping, hello, welcome. I was on texting with Maggie, and I forget Maggie's handle on this, but she is engaged every night except Tuesdays. So she's looking forward when we're no longer doing Getting Ahead in with the trying to help people get out of a poverty mindset. Because that's what we're doing right now. I'm doing that with St. Vincent de Paul on Tuesday nights. So that takes up about 6 hours of my time on Tuesday nights. But I told Maggie that as soon as that's over, we will go back to Tuesday night get-togethers as well. So looking forward to that creative redundancy. And let me see if there's anybody else here. Muskoka Oma, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. Okay, for those of you who are new, welcome. So happy to see you. We get together once a week and we discuss different books. We've gone through probably a dozen books so far. You might want to go back and take a look at, we did Nuclear War Survival Skills, the third edition. I had the first edition with me as we did that, and that's one you might want to go back and review. But we've probably done a dozen nonfiction books. We've done, gosh, at least a dozen and a half, maybe 2 dozen fiction books. We do our fiction books the last Thursday of the month. This month, a week from tomorrow, we're doing Stephen Smith's Volume 7 of the Stonemont series on Wings of Eagles. And then we've done A American, and we've done John Grammer, and we've done Franklin Horton. Gosh, but we've done so many great fiction authors. So join us the last Thursday of the month as well, and we'll do a book review on that. Once we get past all this, what we had been doing was we were doing basically Monday evening was a training of some sort, and the last major training we did was a review of the U.S. Constitution and civics. And then hello, Kaylin, welcome, good evening. Kaylin Strain has just come on. And she has a Sunday night MRE where she tastes and tests MREs live on YouTube. And this last weekend, she did a Canadian MRE. And that was and she said that the chili in the Canadian MREs tasted better than the American chili. So encourage you to go back and see that. Higgy Homestead, good evening, welcome. But anyhow, so we were doing Monday night, we were doing that. Tuesday night, we were doing the nonfiction, and then Thursday night was the fiction. Then, of course, we started the Getting Ahead class, and that we're halfway through that, and that took up my Tuesday nights. So we did the book club on Monday nights. Well, I canceled the Monday nights at the beginning of January. This is getting confusing for me, at least. And we canceled Monday nights on so that I could participate in the ham radio net at 8 o'clock on Monday nights. And so we moved everything to Wednesday nights. So right now we've only got Wednesday night and then the last Thursday, but we're there. And then look forward to my haul videos on Saturdays. Helen mentioned to me today that I'm taking up another room that she does not like. So those are probably going to come to a quick cessation here. We aren't going to be getting as much, but that's what it is. Okay. So tonight we are working on the Ultimate Prepper Pantry Survival Guide, and we are on Chapter 4. And Chapter 4 is meal planning basics for your food stockpile, crafting harmony through 90 days of flourishing pantry provisions. Starts off with a quotation by Mel Tappan. For those of you who don't know, Mel Tappan is probably one of the best survivalists that there are. He says, stockpiling food is a form of self-reliance and self-respect. So, and this, of course, the author here is Carlos Mack. He has some other great books. I've got his foraging book. Right now, I'm also about a third of the way through his Critical Nuclear War Survival Skills Guide. Not quite as good as the Nuclear War Survival Skills Guide by, who did that? It was originally, I was in Fuel Station Augsburg when the original one came out. I think it had to be about 1980. But anyhow, he's a pretty good author. I like his nonfiction stuff. So planning your meals. I showed you all, it's been a couple years. I probably should have brought it with me. Maybe I have some down here. Do I have my cards underneath the table here with me? Let me see. No, they're in my office. But for those of you who don't know, what I did was I used to be an instructor for 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And so I have his entire planning guide. And one of those included a 365-day planning guide. So I took that 365-day planning guide and I divided it each day into thirds so that I had a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. And so I could say breakfast, and then I put a number like B1, and then L1 and D1. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Then I could take that B1 and I could go to a different card and I could say B1 consisted of, and let's say it's going to be scrambled eggs and bacon from Mountain House. Then I was going to have hash brown potatoes, and I was going to have some sort of orange juice. And usually what I stockpile is Tang, because that's what the astronauts use for vitamin replenishment. So I really like Tang as far as a survival drink. And then, toast or something. So I had an entire list, a shopping list, basically, of what was going to be necessary for that breakfast. So then I could keep an inventory of all the things I need to have that breakfast. Then I would have L1, which was lunch number 1. And maybe that lunch that day was chili mac. So I could just put chili mac. Well, what do I need to make chili mac? I might need some macaroni. I might need some chili and some cheese. So, then you start looking at that. What do I want for a drink? So I would make that entire menu as far as what I needed for that lunch. And then the same thing for dinner. So maybe for dinner, we might have what I had for dinner this evening, which is American hamburger soup. Some people call it American goulash, but that's basically ground beef, tomato sauce, a can of veg oil, a can of lima beans. Let me see, what all we put in there? A couple of potatoes, an onion, and that's pretty much it. And then that becomes a soup that you can boil. Helen and I will get about 4 meals out once we make that. It's a pretty hefty thing to refrigerate. And as a matter of fact, we had enough left over where I had to freeze it. So now I know all the contents I need for that dinner. So then I can put those in my menu, and then I know exactly what I have to have in inventory in order to have that. So I may have, for example, that breakfast one of bacon and eggs from Mountain House. Well, maybe that if I take a look at that carton on Mountain House breakfast and eggs, bacon and eggs, I can even go here and check. Just one real quick second here. Let's go to proteins. Do I have it under proteins? Eggs scrambled with bacon, Mountain House. So in one number 10 can of Mountain House eggs scrambled with bacon, it says there are 9 servings. So that means that basically I can take that now and put it across 4 days. So maybe I have it the first of the month for January, February, March, and April. And so now I know that in order to have it for the next 2 cycles, to have once a month for a year, I need at least 3 cans for 2 people. See, so that's how you can develop your inventory, is by knowing exactly what it is you're going to get and then how much of it you need. So that's planning your meals. So breakfast stands as the cornerstone of a well-rounded day. I am not convinced of that. That's his statement. Breakfast has never been a major meal until the cereal companies decided that they could sell more cereal if they convinced you that it was the most important meal of the day. Typically in the military, what we call lunch has been the major meal of the day, because you need to restore all that energy that you've expended in the morning, and you want to expend it in the afternoon. You don't want to have your major meal as the evening meal, because then everything settles on you. You get tired, go to bed, and that's what produces fat. So you want to be able to work off a lot of the calories that you're putting in there. So aim for your lunch meal being your major meal of the day. So the breakfast meal, incorporating long-lasting items into your stockpile is fantastic. He suggests having 10 different breakfast meals and multiply them by 40 to create a plan that's a little bit more than a year's worth. So if we take that, we might say, you've got the eggs scrambled with bacon. Let's say you want some breakfast tacos or breakfast burritos. And you might even include refried beans as far as a breakfast taco. When I first started buying at the LDS Provident Living Center, we're very lucky here to have an LDS Provident Living Center in Round Rock. So when I went to the LDS Provident Living Center, my very first purchases, I was focusing on refried bean burritos / tacos. So I would buy 1 can of flour so I could make tortillas. I would buy 1 can of refried beans. They no longer sell the refried beans. They stopped that about 10 years ago. And then I would buy 1 can of onions. And that way I could have refried beans with, and then I would buy from Thrive Life cheddar cheese. So that way I had refried beans, cheddar cheese, onions, and I could make my burritos or my tortillas, and I would have a breakfast taco or a breakfast burrito. That might be another way that you incorporate into your breakfast items. But oatmeal, dry cereal. If you're going to get dry cereal, make sure you get your dry cereal that is not sugar coated. So go for the Cheerios, the Rice Krispies, the Bran Flakes. What else is not sugar coated? Corn Flakes. All of those things that don't have any sugar in them, they will last you a while. The more sugar you add to it, the more corrosive it is, and it probably won't have that good of a shelf life. There are some companies that do make breakfast cereals that they store for long term in a number 10 can. Nutrient Survival has some if you want some good breakfast. Now, what I do like about Nutrient Survival is that they infuse additional minerals and vitamins into their meals so that those are very hearty meals. And if you want to buy Nutrient Survival, use the code CWP10 and you get a 10% discount. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I would love to get that money. I get a referral fee, but it's actually to your advantage to don't use my code until you exceeded $390 in purchases. And let me tell you why. Because as long as you spend over $50 but less than $395, you're going to get you can pick a $39 sampler kit as a gift to add on to it. So if you're going to get $39 worth of free stuff, get that $39 worth of free stuff. That equals a 10% discount from Lee at $390. So you're going to get more of a discount if you go for that free sampler kit than if you use my discount code. So I would much rather see you get more food than me get a small commission. Lunch, he talks about just a hot meal. He says bread, cheese, things like that for a lunch. I like a little bit heartier lunch, but he's talking about one loaf of bread will last you for 300. If you make one loaf a day, then you need 365 loaves to last you for a year. Dinner, he incorporates shelf-stable sauces, spices, and condiments. He recommends that you look at main meals of the day, and they should be thoroughly organized categorized into four groups. Number one, soup, salad, and appetizer meals. Number two, beans and Mexican meals. Number three, rice and chicken meals. And number four, pasta and Italian meals. I would add to that, we have a lot of gumbo, jambalaya, so what we might, dirty rice. So we have a lot of Cajun style meals that we have prepped as well. Another one that we really like are the Asian meals. So we have a lot of Asian meals that are added to ours, and those are pretty much rice based. So you're going to have rice and chicken, maybe a little bit of ground beef, but I would suggest you add some Asian cuisine to your planning as well. Creative Redundancy has just said something that is really, really phenomenal. And I want you to, I'm going to highlight it. I think you need to pay attention to it, because Creative Redundancy and I just happen to think exactly alike on this topic. I personally believe that we are going to be back to basically what the Vikings did, and we're going to be in the Middle Ages, and we're going to primarily be living off of soups, stews, and casseroles and chowders. So if we take a look at those four categories, soup, stew, chowder, and casserole, that's going to be the primary things that we'll be living off of. And soups and stews actually makes everything go a little bit further. You can feed more people with the soup or stew than you can with the solid beef product or a solid chicken product. So, and just adding vegetables and things in there, it's phenomenal. Let me show you, somebody else said, wait a minute, 365 loaves of bread is a lot. Yes, I agree with that. Let me go here to share screen. I just happened to look up before we started, and if I can find it here, FEMA. Come on, where are you? Oh, there we go. There it is. I went to Algerson Farms. And so Algerson Farms has their winter sale going on right now. Some of these are up to 60% off. But what I wanted to point out is this one right here. So first off, the vegetable garden seeds are 60% off. Get that for sure. But come on, catch up with me here. They've got the dried whole egg powder on sale, which is fantastic. Remember, there's a difference between scrambled eggs and whole eggs. So the whole egg powder can be used for anything as far as cooking, baking, everything. You can use it for scrambled eggs if you want to. Whereas the scrambled eggs basically are scrambled eggs. They've been, the difference is that the dried whole egg powder is freeze-dried raw, and the scrambled eggs are freeze-dried cooked. So scrambled eggs, the only thing you can do with it is scrambled eggs. Notice that they also have their butter on sale, significant savings. But the bad thing about the butter is you can't use that to cook. It's only for taste, because they've removed the oil out of it, and the oil is what you need to cook. Doggone it, I had it here just a second ago. What happened to it? I wanted to show you they have let me go here to bestsellers. Maybe that's where I saw it. I should have left it where it was when I came on here. but they do have their bread mix, bread and scone mix on sale. If I can find it here real quick. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a search for it up here. Search our store, bread and scone mix. Bread mix. There we go. Oh, they call it, I'm sorry, bread and scone is a different manufacturer. This is bread, just bread and roll. But if we take a look at this, and it's on sale too, more than 50% off. But if we take a look at it, this says that it can make approximately 6 loaves of bread for this one number 10 can. So if we're going to make 6 loaves of bread out of this, and we want 1 loaf of bread a day, then we're going to need 60 cans of bread and roll mix to make 365. Is that right? Let me see. 365 divided by 6 is, well, I'm sorry, 120 cans. No, that's wrong too. 365 divided by 6. So 62 cans. I'm sorry, 62 cans. I'm trying to do this all in my head. 62 cans, which would be roughly 10 cases of this just to make enough bread for one loaf per day per year. I think it's probably realistically going to be closer to one loaf of bread every third day, maybe every 3 days. I think that would probably be more realistic. Let me see. Hi, Tammy Harder. Welcome. Yeah, there is a scone mix. Is that Algerson Farms that has that, or is that Emergency Essentials? But they have bread and roll, bread and scone. They have, there's all kinds of different mixes. There's cans of flour at the LDS Provident Living Center. I used to get cans of flour, but now I think we're so close to SHTF that instead of getting the number 10 cans and paying a little bit extra to have them in the number 10 cans, I'm just getting the 5-pound bags. And then I'm putting those into vacuum sealable bags and just vacuum sealing them. So he recommends that you come up with 36 recipes that you like for dinner. And then you just purchase 10 of those, enough stuff to have 10 of those. That gives you 360 days worth of dinners. So this is how you're going to build that entire menu that you have. And then he recommends some side dishes to break the boredom every once in a while. So he says, get at least 9 sides of 2 selected categories for 18 different meals. And that's going to be thrown in occasionally here and there. Desserts, he recommends that you have a dessert every other day. I think, you need some fruits, and that could be a dessert. But I think you need some fruits in your diet almost every day. So I would plan for desserts every day if possible. He talks about learning to cook the staples. He talks about differences between freeze-dried, dehydrated, canned, and garden foods. Sue Mee, I was just chatting with her, and she is starting an indoor garden, believe it or not, up there in the frozen tundra of Canada. It's almost 0 degrees Fahrenheit, if not colder, and yet she's growing herbs right now and doing a very good job. She's also growing some other leafy vegetables, and she's got some sunlights going. She's got a greenhouse going. I mean, she's just got all the stuff that I can't do. So I'm just going to tell you that we've got to get her a visa to come down here and stay with Lee and garden and provide all the food for this family once it happens. So she's doing very good. Another good one at gardening is Rebecca and Mother Earth. So I tell you, we need to have you people on here to teach us how to garden because that's going to be essential for us. And he's even got some gardening tips here in this chapter. One of the things, that he kind of alludes to, but he doesn't come out and say, and I think it's very important that we think about it. All of our stored items are good as long as they're kept in a cool, dark place. Once SHTF happens, everything's going to be dark, but not necessarily cool. So, our homes that are sealed the way they are late 20th century, early 21st century construction. does not allow for airflow. So you're going to have windows open. But in the summertime, without central air, we're going to die. I mean, it's just going to be terrible. So the older homes and the older construction are actually going to be better for surviving the summers in a post-SHTF world. Then he talks about how to create your spreadsheet. I wish I could show you my spreadsheet. It just won't let me. And he talks about how he color-coded it. He has a magnetic backup board that he keeps. I have a large magnetic dry erase board, but it's just going to be for 2 weeks worth of menus because I plan on having my neighbors come in. And so I'm going to show them, like, for example, we might have one day chicken noodle soup. So if you want to participate in the chicken noodle soup and get a scoop of chicken noodle soup or whatever, there are some things you can bring to the table in order to get some food. Charcoal, water, noodles, chicken, mixed vegetables, all these different things that we're going to need to make that menu work. So I've got that 2 weeks worth of that I'll put up on a dry erase board. Says, watch out for bored eaters, rotate your meals. I will tell you, for a year, 2 meals a day, there were only 12 C-Rats menus. And I lived for a year off of 2 C-Rats a day. And yeah, you get bored of it, but you know what? If that's all there is, that's what you eat. And did we gripe about it? You bet. If we were hungry enough, did you eat it? Absolutely. I saw somebody on a video channel earlier today, or maybe it was Facebook, with a can of Vienna sausage saying, what do you do with this? Oh, I can tell you, there's several things you can do with it. Add it to beans, dice it up, add it to your scrambled eggs, all kinds of things. If you don't have any meat, Spam and Vienna sausage are going to be fantastic. They're going to be far better than nothing. So I can be honest about that. I will tell you, the old C rations, the meals ready to eat combat is what they were called, units. The tuna was from a slightly different manufacturer, so the box was just a slightly different color than the other 11 boxes. So the first sergeant would come in and turn the box upside down, the case, when he opened it up, so you couldn't see what you were getting, and you just grabbed a box. If I had the opportunity, I always grabbed that one darker colored box because that was tuna and I knew what I got. And I would say that year, I probably ate 70 to 75% of my meals were tuna. So yeah, it talks about boredom with your meals and everything else, and that's about it. So let's talk about philosophy of meals, okay? And this is Lee's philosophy. So you don't have to subscribe to it. You don't have to necessarily agree with it. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing. And if you like it, if you agree with it, that's fine. If you don't, then I'm sure you already have a method of your own. But I believe that for the first 3 weeks to a month, everybody's going to be in a panic mode around me. So I don't want them to know that I have food in my house. So for that first month, everything I do is going to be just boil water or heat water, add it to an instant rehydrated, freeze-dried meal. Mountain House Nutrient Survival is very good. Emergency Essentials has a couple, but it's going to be basically camping style meals. So that all you have to do is add hot water, let it rehydrate, and then you're going to eat. That way you have perfect odor control. You want to use things to cook inside your house that don't give away any odor. You want to only cook during the daytime so that you also have light control, light discipline, and you're not having any showing that you're cooking or anything else. You want to be aware of the odors. You want to be aware of the light. And you're going to fix those so that they don't know that you're eating and you're eating well. Now, if somebody happens, per chance, to drop off a parachute full of MREs in your neighborhood, what I want you to do is tomorrow go to one of the thrift stores, Goodwill, your county thrift store, whatever, St. Vincent de Paul thrift store, buy yourself a complete set of clothing, not boots or shoes, but pants, shirt, dress, whatever, one size larger than what you normally eat. That way it looks as if they're ill-fitting, it looks like you've lost some weight. So that when you go out to stand in line to get the freebies, just like everybody else, you don't want to set yourself aside. You want to look just like they do. You want to look starving. You want to look like you need the food as bad as they do. You're going to go out and you're going to take what they're getting. Bring that back in, you're going to survive. Now, it'll take about 3 weeks to a month for the other people basically to give up to the food situation. Then you can start doing a little bit more cooking. I want to focus on still for the next month only indoor cooking. And now, but you can go into some of the things you have to mix and then cook in a pan or something like that. Soups that you're going to make, things like that. Then that's absolutely true. Theoxorus, good evening, welcome. That's absolutely true. So then you can start cooking a little bit more on the inside. Not anything that's going to be great as far, you don't want to use charcoal. Have you noticed that when somebody else in your neighborhood starts grilling, they're grilling because of the odor of charcoal? It's one of the last things you want to use as far as cooking in your backyard is the charcoal. And so then we're going to go through this cycle, okay? Then 1 month of basically all indoor cooking after the first month, and then we can start cooking outdoors and sharing with our neighbors. Oh, Lee, you're a hypocrite. Why aren't you feeding the people during the first 3 weeks to a month? Well, the reason is because I want to help people who are smart enough to help themselves. So if you haven't done anything, I can't keep my entire neighborhood alive for more than a month, okay? If I try to take these 120 houses, and let's say if there's 5 people per house, that's 600 people. So I cannot feed 600 people for even 1 month, okay? However, once that gets reduced to a decent number of people, let's say it's reduced down to 15, 20 people, or even 30, I can keep them alive for a little bit longer period of time. It's just pure mathematics. How many meals do I have? How long will it keep X number of people alive? That's the only question that has to be asked. Okay, let me go back here and catch up with your comments. I've noticed some really good ones. You guys are always so great in the comments. Thank you so much. So Rebecca says, I just eat twice a day with 0 processed foods and little to no carbs. I will have breads, potatoes, and rice if poo hits the fan. Great going, Rebecca. I think that's fantastic. Rebecca I did take Rebecca to the LDS Provident Living store. So when they came to visit here, it happened to be on a Saturday and they got to go. Sumi came down and visited, and I took her to the Provident Living Center. So people who have been down here, I've taken them to the Provident Living Center. The Mormons do it right. Let me tell you, that is absolutely great things. But I think Rebecca also points out a couple of other things. Number one, thank you, RFK Jr., who's going to get rid of a lot of the chemicals in our food systems. There are some foods we have here in the U.S. that are prohibited for sale in Europe and other countries because of the chemicals in them. So I think RFK Jr. is going to get us more in line with some more natural food products. Remember that you are what you eat. And right now we are processed chemical people. My addiction, black cherry flavored water, 0 carbs, 0 anything. I mean, take a look back here. It's 0 everything. So all it is just flavored water. And but the other thing I think that she points out here, 2 meals a day. That's what we did in the military with C rations. We got 2 a day. MREs, we got 2 a day. So it just depends on where you are and what there is. Tammy likes breakfast burritos, breakfast tacos. Foxworth doesn't care for oatmeal. I agree with you. I don't like it. Helen loves it. She eats it every morning. LDS Provident Living Center does have freeze-dried strawberries. It's a brand new product. They've only been selling it now for maybe 6 months. a fantastic product. But she likes to put the freeze-dried. We have freeze-dried grapes from Thrive Life. We have freeze-dried strawberries from the ODS Prov Living Center, peaches, pineapple from Thrive Life. So we can add those fruits, those freeze-dried fruits, to her oatmeal, and she really likes that. My problem with the oatmeal is not the taste. I love the taste of oatmeal. It's the consistency. And that's what I really have a problem with. Yes, cats and prepping, I wholeheartedly agree. 365 loaves is a lot. I think that more realistically, it's going to be about a third of that. So probably about 120 loaves. So one loaf would probably last the two of us 3 days easily, if not more so. Creative redundancy like soups and stews, absolutely. Flat tortillas or flatbreads and tortillas going to be an essential part of your overall diet. I think we're going to have more flatbread than we will raised bread. Now, that's also called matzah in Hebrew. Basically, that's what they ate, the flatbreads in the Middle East. Let me see. Yes, and there are also, you got Tony Chachery and what is it? Tony Chachery and Zatarain's. Both have the box mixes. We just made a box of gumbo with one of the two. I forget which manufacturer it was, but we had put it into our pantry in 2018. So it was 7 years old. And but I had not freeze-dried. I had vacuum sealed it, and it was a little bit clumpy, a little bit hard. But once you got it into the boiling water, everything kind of smoothed out. And then I had some freeze-dried shrimp. At one time, Thrive Life had freeze-dried shrimp. At one time, they also had freeze-dried ham. But we had a little bit of shrimp that we could put in there. So it turned out really good, even though that box of mix was 7 years old. Now, there is another one. Just a minute. I just bought this, and we've had a couple of these, and they are pretty good. I was digging around in our daily pantry and saw this and said, hey, Helen, we got to do this. But this is a simple suppers, and it's jambalaya. So all you have to do is add the meat product, add the protein. But this has got everything you need for jambalaya, and just pour it in. Now, you can get canned okra. You can get canned shrimp. You can get canned sausage. You can get everything, canned chicken. All those things are available cans. They're also, most of them are available freeze-dried. Add that to it. You've got one fantastic meal. Yes, absolutely, Theoxerus, jambalaya. I probably would not do open fire for meat cooking until maybe after 60 days. But yes, open fire cooking of meat is great. As long as it is raw. Now remember, most canned products are going to be cooked, and there are only some Emergency Essentials, I know, and Shelf to Table is another company. I think both of them freeze dry raw, but you have to make sure if you're going to grill outside, that you've got raw products that you're going to grill. It just doesn't do anything to it if it's already cooked and you're just rehydrating it and then putting it over an open fire. So you kind of have to separate those. Know what you're getting when you're getting into the long-term stuff. Is it cooked or is it raw when it was freeze-dried? Maggie, I was talking with Maggie earlier today, and she said that she's really getting into her freeze dryer. And so she's added an extra air conditioning unit so that she can just freeze dry away. So I am looking forward to that because I want to get some good hot Italian sausage that she's going to try to freeze dry. And then, of course, some fish products that I want to get freeze dried as well. But she may be doing that. She may send me some samples. You never can tell. So Tammy Harder was just looking at Augustin Farms last night. Yes, and there is a code in the description down below. So if you decide to buy Augustin Farms, I am an affiliate. So if you use my code, you get a discount. But do me a favor, always take a look. I want you to understand. I want you to get the maximum amount of food for the pennies you spend. Okay. So if it's advantageous to use my code, use my code. If it's advantageous to use a store code that's going to get you a deeper discount by buying on their website than using my code, go for the biggest discount. I think we're getting close to the end of times, and I want you to have the maximum amount of food available in your pantry. That is far more important to me than me making a penny or two. Okay. Please always do the math. Do what is best for you. Oh, Mother Earth, let me tell you, butternut squash is one of the Europeans' favorite things to put into soups. That, along with bell peppers. Bell peppers, mushrooms, onions, garlic, squash, zucchini. Those, I think, are almost in every German or Italian soup that I've seen. So Patty has gone to a carnivore lifestyle. She's lost 60 pounds. Wow. Oh, congratulations. I have another, once you hit 70, then you can expect a new diagnosis every 3 or 4 months. So, and I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with this cough. I've got one more. In February, I go see the doctor who did my Nissen fundoplication, which was he tied my esophagus around my stomach or whatever, or my stomach around my esophagus, something. He tied a knot in something down there. And we're going to see if that's what's causing this terrible cough that I have. If not, then the only thing that's left is that it's a side effect of having had that injection that I had a couple of years ago. And it's looking more like that may be what it is. It's just it's an after effect of that thing that I didn't want to do. So let me catch up here. I'm sorry for that. Taking a drink. Don't know why I'm so dry. I agree. Greenhouse would be fantastic. Theoxerus. Who is it? Jello. Jello has a cheesecake. They have 3 different cheesecake mixes. And if you go into the baking aisle in most Walmart, H-E-B, any major grocery store, Jello has 3 different cheesecakes. One of them is a cherry cheesecake. There's a strawberry cheesecake and a plain cheesecake, I know for sure. What is missing is you don't have the graham cracker crust, okay? However, you can get a box of graham crackers, vacuum seal those graham crackers, and get some pie pans, or you could even get the pre-made graham cracker pie pans, and then vacuum seal that. And then when you want a good cheesecake, I mean, it's not restaurant quality, but in a post-apocalyptic world, it's better than anybody else's cheesecake. I can guarantee you that. One of the things, we talk about Italian food. So I want to talk about, some of the simple things you can do. We have a member of our family who's allergic to tomato products. So I have an awful lot of freeze-dried, the milk and cheese version of pasta sauce, Alfredo. So I have probably a case of freeze-dried Alfredo sauce. I probably won't eat it. If anything, I may make it for the neighbors and let them have it. But I bought it specifically for a family member who moved away. So, but just think, if you get tomatoes or freeze-dried tomato sauce, and that's my thought process with my Thrive Life orders, and pasta, then you're pretty much set up for spaghetti, right? Now you can get other things. You can get freeze-dried chicken, onions, garlic, bell peppers, mushrooms. Look at all the different combinations that we're making by just having a couple basic items that we can make with that tomato sauce and add to our pasta. Of course, you got olio e elio, which is basically oil and vinegar. I'm sorry, oil and garlic is a very famous pasta. Then they've got there's so many pastas, it's pitiful. Get some good cookbooks, okay, for your post-apocalyptic library. Some of the ones I recommend, Claire's, look up Claire, I forget her last name. She's passed on now. Claire's Kitchen, I think is the name of the book. It's a little red book, but she was a survivor of the Great Depression. So she has a lot of books basically about how to cook with minimal stuff and have hearty meals based off of what she ate during the Depression. And get camping books. The Boy Scouts have like 3 or 4 different camping books, camping cookbooks. Get those. I think they're available on Amazon. But get the Boy Scout camping cookbooks. If you go to the Can Cooker site, they have some cookbooks. There are all kinds of Dutch oven cookbooks. You can get some, if you go, the reason I went to the main reason I went to the Alwison Farms site earlier and then noticed they had all those things on sale is because they have a fantastic recipe book, a cookbook, basically, online, as does Thrive Life. So most of these major manufacturers and salespeople of the component portions of freeze-dried foods are going to have cookbooks, and get those, and see what it is that you like, and then include that in your overall repertoire of menus that you're going to have available to you in a post-apocalyptic world. And I think that's going to be fantastic for you. If I see something, now Maggie bought this for me and sent it to me a couple years ago, but she bought me this cookbook, and so every time I see a recipe on YouTube that I really, really like, ground beef green chili stew, green chili chicken chowder, fireside chili, balsamic beef, poblano cheesy corn chowder, green chili stew, goulash soup, Hungarian goulash soup. So every time I see a fantastic recipe on YouTube, I copy it down into this recipe book that Maggie gave me. And this is nothing but post-apocalyptic recipes that I'm planning on having. So, that I'm setting that aside for post-apocalyptic food. Yeah, Minnesota, believe it or not, is about the same latitude, if I'm not mistaken, as northern Italy. I know New York City is the same latitude as Rome, Italy. And here, Austin, Texas is the same latitude as Cairo, Egypt. I'm catching up on the on this here. Yeah, there were times in Germany, which is equivalent to about the Hudson Bay. I would go to work in the summer. I mean, there were only 4 hours of darkness in the summer. And then during the middle of the winter, there's only 4 hours of light in the middle of the day. So you drive to work in the dark and drive home in the dark. Pigs in a blanket when you were talking about the Vienna sausage, absolutely. Spam actually is the national food of, they're in Korea. That's a treasure that they cherish. Same thing in Hawaii, American Samoa. There are a lot of places in Asia that really like Spam. I like it. I think for a lot of people, it's the same problem I have with Pepsi Cola and with oatmeal. Just my mind doesn't allow me to do it. Okay, let me see. Canned soups are already cooked. You're absolutely right, Utah Mike. And by the way, welcome. Um, they don't smell much. All you have to do is warm them, and you can basically warm those over a candle. So if you have the Uco candle, the single candle, that's great. That'll warm it. But if you have the candelier that has 3 candles in it, you warm it even faster. So yeah, and that won't have that obnoxious of an odor either. There are some really good. If you get the larger cans, that's a complete meal. Then you can basically cook those. We have a whole bunch of clam chowder, chicken noodle soup, chunky chicken noodle soup. They have, Sumi's going to laugh at this. They have chili mac. Campbell's has chili mac in a can. Sumi found about 4 or 5 cans for me. But yeah, there's lots. I think chili mac is going to be one of our major meals. We were talking earlier about spaghetti, pasta. Get macaroni. With macaroni and a can of chili, or macaroni with cheese. You can have mac and cheese. You can make chili mac with a can of chili, and then on top of that, put some either canned cheese or some freeze-dried cheese. But you can make chili mac with it. There's all kinds of things you can do with macaroni noodles. It's just unbelievable. So the pastas are going to be an essential item for your. I think some of the essential items you're going to want to have are going to be rice. Gosh, chili and rice, beans and rice, fried rice. So many options with rice. It's just unbelievable. So rice, pasta, tomatoes, canned tomatoes, whether it be canned tomatoes, tomato sauce, tomato paste, chili, ready chili tomatoes, things like that. Rotel tomatoes, have a wide variety of those. Beans, canned soups, canned meats, canned fish, tuna, mackerel, herring, sardines, anchovies. I used to not like anchovies. Now I do. So that's pretty good because they add a little bit of natural salt to the meal. Really good with Italian foods. What else? Salmon, canned salmon. Make some salmon patties and salmon cakes. Those are really good as far as proteins. Canned chicken. We buy 2 different grades of chicken. We buy Walmart chicken, and lately we had Addie in to the vet Monday morning. Gosh, $1,200, but they pulled 21 teeth, and so they said, with 10-year-old Chihuahuas, this is pretty common. Chihuahuas have the worst teeth of all the dogs, so she's going to have to be put on pretty much a soft diet. So we're going to pretty much, it's going to be a regular staple for her, is going to be chicken and rice. So, a can of chicken and then rice in our rice cooker. We have the smaller rice cooker, so we only make like 6 cups of rice at a time. And we'll make 6 cups with 1 can of chicken, of course, chicken broth in there as well. And that will for the 3 Chihuahuas, that's 3 meals. So that does a pretty good job there, but we're going to need a lot more of the lower quality canned chicken for the girls. And then we buy Costco, Kirkland brand chicken for us. So yes, and here's another thing. Utah Mike brings up an important thing that we need to consider as well. And that is, start thinking. Gosh, let me give you an example. Let me get to my spreadsheet and go to my fuel tab. Well, there's my LDS tab, but let me see. Fuel and light. Okay. So for fuel, one of the safe heats is good for 6 hours. So a case of 12 cans is 72 hours worth of cooking. Now, let's break that down. So 1 case is going to get you 72 hours. Let's assume 1 sterno can for 1 hour cooking, 3 meals a day. So that's going to give you 24 days worth of cooking. So in order to get a year's worth of cooking with safe heat, you're going to need at least 12 probably more likely 13 cases of fuel. Now, you can augment that. We've got the canned propane, the Coleman propane cans. I'm sorry, Sterno. Let's go to here. That's for my Mr. Buddy. Sterno butane fuel cartridges are good for 3 hours. So if you want to use the one burner stove, and each bottle is good for 3 hours, that means you're going to have 365 bottles in for a year. They come 4 to a package, so that's 90 some odd packages of fuel. Where are you going to store that? How are you going to store that up until the apocalypse happens? So we're talking about an awful lot of quantity. We're talking about an awful lot of space. I don't know. We're also talking about an awful lot of flammable stuff and explosive stuff pretty close to your house. Sumi says vacuum sealed graham cracker crumbs, canned butter, cream cheese, freeze-dried eggs, sugar, vanilla, and out in the oven you can have a fantastic apocalyptic cheesecake. I would imagine so. Take care, Andy. Have a great evening. Let me catch up here. Yes. Now, peaches. Now, think of it. If you have peaches, a little bit of sugar, and then you have some, and I like the cake mix from. They also do buttermilk and cornbread and pie crust and cake mix. Jiffy cake mix. So I can take peaches and put them in the bottom of my Dutch oven and just pour the cake mix on top of it and leave the sauce, once you rehydrate them, just leave them a little bit on the liquidy side, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, pour your mix on top of it, and poof, you've got a fantastic cobbler. So that's another one of those great desserts you can have over time. So great suggestion, Utah Mike. Thank you. Another good idea, Sumi. Matzo balls. Yeah. So that's another form of, some people might even call them a dumpling, depending on whether you put them in with chicken soup or not. But chicken soup and matzo balls is the same thing as chickens. What do they call it? Chicken and dumplings. There you go. I am not 100% sure how Helen does it, but I know she counts carbs like you would not believe. Yes, Progresso makes some good soups as well. I had one that I just cannot find again. We had somebody made a chicken tortilla or chicken enchilada soup that was superior. And I think it was Old El Paso, but we just can't find it anywhere. So my tortilla press goes up to 11 inches, so I'm a little bit bigger. But yeah, 5 to 6 inches is great. That's perfect size for breakfast tacos. That's about the same size as what you're going to get with a soft taco at Taco Bell. So Mother Earth says that freeze-dried peaches are amazing. Yes, I have not yet had a fruit that was freeze-dried that I really have not really enjoyed. Probably the one that is not at the top of the list. I like it, but it's just not at the top of the list is freeze-dried bananas. They get a little bit mushy when you try to rehydrate them. So I just eat them straight freeze-dried. Methane Creator, good evening. Good to see you. Uh-oh. Yeah, we've had a couple shut down here. We've got a place up the road, and oh gosh, I'm going to say for 15 years now, there's been a sign, 10,000 square foot convenience store to open soon. And that sign's been on that lot for 15 years, I'm going to guess. Oh, you need to try jambalaya for sure. Okra is an acquired taste. I will say that. It can be slimy. So make sure you have somebody who knows what they're cooking in order to cook it for you. But we can get it canned. I forget who makes the canned okra. But we probably have a dozen cans of okra because we plan on doing an awful lot of jambalaya or gumbo. And so it's probably going to be more in the gumbo than the jambalaya. Yes, freeze-dried wholesalers primarily does raw, uncooked items more so than a lot of the others. Mountain House is going to be pre-cooked. Nutrient Survival is going to be pre-cooked. Thrive Life is going to be pre-cooked, but they're components rather than meals. Now, you can get meals and they're bag meals, but most of their stuff is going to be components that have already been pre-cooked. Okay. Thank you for that reminder, Scott. Yes, if you would push the thumbs up, that would greatly appreciate that. Oh, wow. I did not know that. Tammy says that Starkist also has beef and chicken. Wow, that's a great idea. Thank you for sharing that. Let me see. Clara's Kitchen. Thank you, Muskoka Oma. Yeah, that's a fantastic book. I strongly recommend it. Okay, we're at an hour. So next week we'll be talking about, where's my book? I got so many books here I get lost. You need to finish a couple of them up. Andy, by the way, who was here earlier, is my Greek instructor. He's teaching me Koine Greek so I can read the New Testament in the original language. Next week is chapter 5, proper storage, maintenance, and rotation of your food stockpile. We will probably combine that with chapter 6, which is garden cultivation for long-term sustainability. So let's plan on next week. We're going to do both chapters 5 and 6, and we can get that taken care of. So remember that we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other because togetherness is the key. But let me read to you the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24, 25, and 26. And it says, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace." Let's pray for our country. We still have significant challenges ahead. I think we've... Andy is still here. I think we have some challenges still in front of us. Look at Sumi. Anyhow, please pray for our country. Don't have don't ask for anything predispositioned. Just put it in God's hands and let him judge what's best for our country and the direction that he intends for us to go. And I pray for our safety, pray for the well-being of everyone. And thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate you. See you next Wednesday night. And I'm trying real hard to see if I can't get Andy and another friend of ours, Earl, get them on here live with me. And the three of us just have a chat about the general things about the world as we see them now. So remember, everybody, be kind, polite, and respectful to each other because that's the only way we're going to get through this. Take care. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.